Hello, everyone. Welcome to Say It.
Hey everyone, so happy you are here with us today. I am Mike.
And I am Sarah.
Really glad you are here with us today.
Mike, I got a message from a colleague this morning that genuinely made me stop and think.
What did she say?
She wrote, "I putted the report on your desk before I left."
Putted.
And for just a moment, because she sounded so confident, I thought, did I miss something? Is putted actually a word?
That confidence can really make you doubt yourself.
It can. And then a few minutes later, she sent another message. She said, "I heard the news and it really put me off."
Put me off. She meant the news had been postponed?
Exactly what she meant, but that is not what she said. 2 messages, 2 mistakes, and both of them come from the same verb, put.
One of the most common verbs in English, and one of the most misunderstood.
Before we get into it, please like and subscribe to Say It. Every new subscriber helps us make more episodes for you.
Let us take put apart completely.
Put is one of the most unusual verbs in English, not because it changes dramatically, but because it never changes at all.
Never?
Every day I put my keys on the same shelf. Every day she puts her bag in the same place. Yesterday I put the report on your desk. I have put it there every single week.
Same word, every tense.
Base form, put. Present simple, she puts. Past simple, I put. Past participle, I have put. Present participle, I am putting.
And putting is the only form that looks different.
Because of the spelling rule, when a verb ends in consonant, vowel, consonant with a short vowel, you double the final consonant before adding ing.
So put becomes pudding, double T.
Always. The same way run becomes running, sit becomes sitting, never pudding with one T.
And put it, where does that come from?
Putted does not exist in standard English. Learners reach for it because most verbs form the past tense with ed, but put does not follow that pattern.
Think of cut. You would never say cutted.
Or shut. Nobody says shutted. Put follows exactly the same pattern as both of them.
So my colleague was applying the regular rule to an irregular verb.
Exactly. And it is one of the most common mistakes with this word.
Now, there is one place where put it actually exists.
Golf. A putt is a gentle stroke on the green. And yes, the past tense of that specific golf term is putted, but that is a completely different word with a completely different origin.
So unless your colleague was describing a golf shot on your desk.
Putted is always wrong. The past tense of put is always just put.
And the pronunciation, because this trips people up too.
Put is put, the same short vowel sound as foot, good, look, book.
Not put, which is the sound in cut, cup, bus.
That is a very easy mistake because put and cut look so similar on the page, but the vowel sounds are completely different.
Foot, good, look, book, put.
And one more thing about the basic structure. Put almost always needs 2 things after it, an object and a direction, a place or a manner.
Put the milk in the fridge, put your shoes on. Put the idea into words.
Object plus where or how. Both pieces are almost always there.
That structure runs through every single meaning of put, and there are 7 of them.
Which is exactly where we are going next.
So 7 meanings, and the one every learner knows first is placement, moving something to a location.
Put the bag on the table. Put your phone in your pocket. Put the keys by the door. Put the milk in the fridge.
Simple, physical, clear.
And that is where most learners stop. They think, I know put. Put means to place something somewhere.
But placement is just the entrance. The rest of the word is behind that door.
Because put also does something completely different, something far more powerful. It moves people and situations into entirely new conditions.
Moves people?
Not physically. Think about this sentence. The news put her in a terrible mood.
Nothing was placed anywhere.
Nothing at all. But something changed. She entered a new state, a terrible mood. And put is what caused that change.
So put here is not about location. It is about transformation.
Exactly. And once you see that, you start hearing it everywhere. Working with him always puts me in a good mood. This situation puts me in a very difficult position. The long journey put the children to sleep.
Put the children to sleep. It caused them to fall asleep.
Because they were exhausted after the journey. But now listen to this one. The film put me to sleep.
Same phrase, very different reason.
The film was so boring that sleep was the only option. Same structure, completely different context, and both are completely natural.
What about put someone to work?
To make someone start working immediately. The teacher put the students to work the moment they arrived. The manager put the whole team to work on the new project.
No discussion, no warm-up, straight into the task.
That is exactly the feeling. And then there is one that appears constantly in professional life. Put someone in charge.
Give them responsibility and authority over something.
Her boss put her in charge of the entire project. When the director left, they put him in charge of the whole department.
That is a big moment for anyone.
It is. And there is one more in this group that I think is one of the most beautiful uses of put in everyday English.
Which one?
Put someone at ease, to make a person feel calm, comfortable, relaxed, especially when they were nervous or uncertain before.
He walked into the room and immediately put everyone at ease.
She has a way of putting people at ease within the first few minutes of meeting them. The doctor put her at ease before the procedure even began.
And there's a slightly different version. Put someone's mind at rest.
Yes, put someone at ease is more immediate and social. You are making someone feel comfortable in the moment. Put someone's mind at rest is more specific. You are resolving a worry. You are removing a concern that has been sitting with them.
His calm explanation put her mind at rest completely.
She called just to put my mind at rest about the test results.
Same idea, but at ease is about comfort in the room. Mind at rest is about worry being resolved.
And in all of these, the news putting someone in a mood, the journey putting children to sleep, the teacher putting students to work, the boss putting someone in charge, a person putting others at ease. Put is not moving any object.
It is causing a transformation. Something changes because of what put does.
That is the state and condition meaning, and it runs through daily English constantly.
Now, the fifth meaning is much simpler, but it is worth knowing clearly.
Writing and recording. Put means to write something down or commit it formally to paper.
Put your name at the top of the page. Put an X next to the answer you choose.
I'll put it in my diary. She put her address on the form. Put the date of the meeting on your calendar.
And one phrase that appears constantly in professional English.
I want to put this in writing so there is no confusion.
Emails, agreements, decisions, when something important needs to be formally recorded.
He asked me to put my objections in writing. She put everything they agreed on in writing before the project began.
So put does not just move things to physical locations, it moves people into new states, and it moves words and decisions onto paper.
So we have placement, state and condition, and writing. Now the next four meanings.
And these are the ones that will completely change how you use put in conversation.
Starting with expression. Put describes the way you choose to say something, the manner, the tone, the level of directness you decide to use.
To put it simply, to put it bluntly, how shall I put it?
All of those are put working as an expression verb. We're going to spend a full section on these later because they are some of the most elegant phrases in everyday English. But hold that thought for now.
Now, meaning for, investment. And this one surprises people because they do not expect put to live here.
Put means to direct something valuable, time, effort, money, energy, trust, into or onto something else.
She puts a lot of effort into her work.
Not occasionally, not when she feels like it, consistently. Every day, a lot of effort goes into everything she produces.
They put all their money into the new business.
Everything committed, nothing held back. That is the weight of put here. It carries the feeling of full investment.
We need to put more time into this.
What we are giving it now is not enough. More time needs to go in. And notice, put into is the natural structure for this meaning. The resource goes in.
She puts her heart into everything she does.
Full emotional investment. Not just going through the motions, Her heart is genuinely in it.
And then there are the collocations that go slightly differently. Put pressure on someone.
To push them, to force urgency. The deadline put a lot of pressure on the whole team. Her parents put enormous pressure on her to succeed.
Put emphasis on something.
To highlight it as the most important thing. Our school puts the emphasis on communication, not just grammar. The new manager puts a lot of emphasis on punctuality.
Put faith in someone.
To believe in them fully, with your heart, not just your head. I put my faith in the wrong person and paid for it. She put her faith in the team and they delivered.
Put trust in someone.
Similar, but trust is slightly more rational than faith. Faith has more emotion behind it. Trust is built on evidence and experience. She put her trust in people who consistently let her down.
And put blame on someone.
To hold them responsible. He always puts the blame on everyone else. She refused to put the blame on anyone. She took responsibility herself.
In every single one of those, something valuable is being directed somewhere. Effort, money, heart, pressure, emphasis, faith, trust, blame, all going somewhere because of put.
That is the investment meaning, and it is everywhere in daily conversation.
Now, meaning 6. And this is the one I want everyone to stop and really absorb, because almost no learner knows it.
Estimation and ranking. Put can express your assessment of someone's value or position without using the words I estimate or I consider or in my opinion.
So instead of saying, I consider him to be one of the greatest players of all time,
a native speaker says, I would put him among the greatest players of all time.
and that sounds so much more natural.
It does, because I consider sounds like a formal written statement. I would put him among sounds like a real person speaking their honest opinion.
The structure is put someone or something among, at, or in, followed by a rank or a value.
I would put her among the greatest novelists of her generation. The value of the painting has been put at $1.5 million. Police put the cost of the damage at over $50,000.
And in casual conversation too?
Constantly. Where would you put this restaurant? Top 10 in the city? I would put it in the top 5 easily. Where would you put him as a manager? I would put him among the best I have ever worked with.
It is effortless. It sounds educated without sounding stiff.
And learners who do not know this use reach for heavy, formal constructions. I estimate, I assess, I consider, when one simple word would do the whole job.
That is a real difference in how fluent someone sounds.
It is. Now, the 7th meaning, prioritization. And this one connects directly to how people talk about what matters most to them in life.
He always puts his family first.
Not sometimes, not when it is convenient, always. That word first carries the full weight of the priority.
She puts her health above everything else.
Health comes before work, before social obligations, before everything. Above everything else, nothing outranks it.
Don't put money before people.
A value statement. The order of importance has been reversed, and put is what shows that. Money has been placed before people, and the speaker is saying, that is wrong.
They put customer service at the top of everything they do.
It is the highest priority in the organization. Every decision gets measured against it.
And this meaning matters so much in real conversation because people talk about priorities all the time.
What do you put first in your life? I put my family above everything else. She has always put her career before her personal life. He puts his own comfort before anyone else's needs.
And learners talking about priorities almost always reach for, I think, or for me, the most important thing is, when put is sitting right there waiting to do the whole job more naturally.
7 meanings, and every single one of them comes from the same simple verb.
Now, that same verb has an entire family of phrasal verbs, and the most versatile one of all is put on.
Most learners hear those 2 words and think of one thing, getting dressed. Put on your coat, put on your shoes.
And that is correct, but put on is one of the most versatile phrasal verbs in all of English. It has 6 completely different meanings, and then a whole family of fixed expressions on top of that.
6 meanings from 2 words.
Let us go through them. The first one, clothes and wearing. Put on your coat. It is cold outside. She put on her best dress for the interview. He put on his glasses and started reading.
Something goes on to the body. That is the core image.
The second meaning, devices and appliances. Starting something, switching something on.
Can you put the kettle on? She put on some music while they cooked. He put the lights on before it got dark. Put the heating on. It is freezing in here.
You are not wearing any of those things, but you are starting them, bringing them into action.
The third meaning, wait. And this one surprises people every time.
He has put on a lot of weight since he stopped going to the gym.
I put on a few kilos over the holidays. She put on quite a bit of weight during the pregnancy.
Nothing is being worn, nothing is being switched on, but something is being added to the body.
That addition, that is the put on feeling. Something extra arrives.
The fourth meaning, organizing or staging an event, a show, a performance.
The school put on a fantastic play this year. They put on a huge celebration for the anniversary. The company puts on a dinner for all its employees every December.
You are creating an experience for other people, producing it, presenting it to them.
The fifth meaning, and this one is particularly interesting, pretending, faking something.
He's not really upset. He's just putting it on.
She put on a brave face even though she was terrified inside. He put on an accent to make everyone laugh.
The performance is not real. The emotion is not genuine. It is being put on, staged, constructed.
And the sixth meaning, applying something to a surface.
Do not forget to put on sunscreen before you go out. She put on some cream before bed. Put on a bandage if the cut is deep.
Something is being applied, pressed onto a surface, and that same core idea, something arriving, something being added, runs through all six meanings.
Clothes arrive on the body. The kettle starts. Weight is added. A show is created. An emotion is performed. Cream is applied.
6 completely different situations, 1 phrasal verb.
Now, put on does not stop at those 6 meanings. It also sits inside some of the most important fixed expressions in English.
Starting with one that every professional needs to know. Put on hold.
To pause or delay something temporarily. The project was put on hold while the budget was reviewed.
And in phone conversations, can I put you on hold for a moment? I will be right back. Extremely common. You will hear it every time you call a company.
Put on the spot. To force someone into an uncomfortable position where they have to respond to something difficult immediately.
The journalist put the politician on the spot with that question. I do not want to put you on the spot, but can you explain what happened in the meeting?
There is nowhere to hide when you are put on the spot.
None. And then put on the map.
To make someone or something famous, to bring them to wide attention for the first time.
That film put the city on the map. Winning the championship put that small club on the map overnight.
Before, unknown. After, everyone knows it exists.
Put on the line, to risk something extremely important, something you cannot afford to lose.
She put her career on the line to speak the truth. He put everything on the line for that deal, and it paid off.
The line here is the boundary between safety and danger, and you are stepping right up to it.
Put on a pedestal, to admire someone so much that you treat them as though they are perfect, beyond criticism.
People tend to put celebrities on a pedestal. He put her on a pedestal for years and was deeply disappointed when she turned out to be human.
Because nobody can live on a pedestal forever.
Nobody. And finally, put on trial, to formally take someone through a legal process.
3 men were put on trial for the robbery. She was put on trial and acquitted.
So put on 6 core meanings, 6 fixed expressions, and all of them sitting inside 2 of the most common words in English. And that is just one phrasal verb. There is a lot more still to come.
Now, put off. And this is the phrasal verb that caused the second mistake in your colleague's message.
She said, "The news really put me off," and she meant the news had been postponed.
But postponed is not what she said.
Not at all, because put off has 2 meanings, and they are completely different from each other.
The first meaning, to postpone, to arrange something for a later time.
We had to put the meeting off until next week. I keep putting off that phone call. I know I need to make it, but I find reasons to delay.
Stop putting it off. Do it now.
That feeling of constantly delaying something you know you should do, put off captures it perfectly. In fact, put it off is one of the most natural ways to talk about procrastination in English.
I have been putting off that conversation for weeks.
Everyone has something they're putting off right now.
Several things, actually.
And the second meaning is completely different. To discourage, to cause dislike or discomfort, to make someone lose interest or enthusiasm.
His attitude put me off completely.
Her smell put her off her food. Don't be put off if it seems difficult at first. It gets easier with practice.
I was really interested in the job until I met the manager. He put me off immediately.
Something about him, his manner, his attitude, removed the enthusiasm. That is the second meaning of put off.
So your colleague said, "The news really put me off," and she meant,
The news discouraged her. The news caused discomfort or dislike, not the news was postponed.
which is a very different thing to say about a piece of news.
Very different. And the confusion comes because both meanings are equally common. Learners who know only one meaning will always misread the other.
So put off, postpone, or discourage. Context decides which one.
Always read the full sentence. If someone says, we put the match off until Saturday, that is postponement. If someone says, the review really put me off, that is discouragement.
Now, put up with, and I want to spend real time on this one because it is one of the most important phrasal verbs in all of everyday English.
To tolerate something unpleasant, without complaining, without leaving, without resolving it. You simply endure it.
I can't put up with this noise any longer.
How does she put up with him? He is impossible.
He puts up with a lot without ever saying a word. I genuinely do not know how he does it.
I don't know how you put up with this job. The hours, the pressure, the lack of recognition.
And yet some people do every day.
That quiet endurance, that is put up with. And whenever that meaning is present, tolerance, endurance, putting up with something difficult, this is the phrase native speakers reach for.
Not tolerate.
Tolerate is correct, but it is formal, written, clinical. I cannot tolerate this noise sounds like a formal complaint letter.
I can't put up with this noise sounds like a real person at their limit.
Exactly. And the difference between those two sentences is the difference between textbook English and natural English.
Now, put up with is a three-word phrasal verb.
And that changes how the grammar works.
Three-word phrasal verbs are always inseparable. The object always comes at the end. I can't put up with this. She can't put up with this situation any longer.
You cannot separate it. I can't put this up with. That is wrong.
Always wrong. The three words stay together and the object follows at the end every single time.
Put off, two meanings, postpone and discourage. Put up with, tolerate, endure. Always inseparable.
And there is an entire group of put phrasal verbs still to come, the ones about doing, creating, and making things happen.
Starting with put together. To assemble something. To take separate parts and make them into one complete thing.
It took 2 hours to put the furniture together.
She put together an impressive presentation in under an hour. Let us put a plan together before the meeting starts.
And put together works for physical things and abstract things equally naturally.
Physical, the furniture, the equipment, the parts of something. Abstract, the plan, the presentation, the team, the proposal.
And there is one more use of put together that I find particularly interesting.
When someone finally understands something, pieces it together from clues or fragments.
He listened to everything she had been saying for weeks and finally put it together.
He put together what had really been going on. The picture became clear.
So put together is also about assembling understanding, not just physical objects.
Now, put forward. To propose or suggest an idea, a plan, or a person for consideration.
She put forward a new proposal at the meeting.
He was put forward as a candidate for the award. Let me put forward a suggestion before we make a final decision.
And put forward is the natural everyday alternative to propose. Propose sounds formal, like something from a boardroom or a legal document.
Put forward sounds like a real person in a real conversation offering a real idea. The meaning is the same, but the register is completely different.
She proposed a new system for managing the accounts. Correct, but formal.
She put forward a new system for managing the accounts. Natural, direct, conversational.
Now put across, and this is slightly different from put forward.
Put forward is about offering an idea for consideration. Put across is about communicating an idea clearly, making sure the other person actually understands it.
She is very good at putting her ideas across.
He struggled to put his point across in the meeting. Everyone kept talking over him.
The idea was there, the words were there, but the communication did not land.
That gap between having an idea and actually making someone else understand it is exactly what put across describes.
Put forward, you offer the idea. Put across, you make it land.
Two different moments in the same conversation.
Now, put through, two meanings, and the first one you will hear every time you call a company or an office.
To connect someone by phone. Hold on, I will put you through to the manager. Could you put me through to customer service, please?
The call goes through. It is transferred, connected, passed along.
And the second meaning is much heavier, to cause someone to experience something difficult, something they did not choose and would not have chosen.
They put him through a very tough interview. 3 hours, 4 interviewers, no breaks.
She was put through an enormous amount of stress during that period. He put his family through so much with his behavior.
The person does not go willingly. They are put through it by circumstances, by other people, by a process.
Phone connection and difficult experience, two very different situations, same phrasal verb.
And finally, put in, also two meanings. The first, to invest time or effort into something.
She put in 12 hours on that report. It was finished, but at a cost.
He puts in a lot of overtime every single week. The team put in an enormous amount of work to get it done on time.
The effort goes in. That's the image. You are putting something in, contributing it, committing it.
And the second meaning, to make an official request for something.
I put in for a transfer to the London office last month. She put in for a pay rise after 3 years without one.
You're submitting a request, formally directing it somewhere.
Put in for, always followed by whatever you're requesting.
So this group, put together, put forward, put across, put through, put in, all of them are about doing, creating, making things happen, sending things in the right direction.
And there's one more group of put phrasal verbs, the ones about placement, returning things, storing things, setting things aside. Starting with put down. And put down has 3 completely different meanings.
The first one, placing something you are holding onto a surface.
She put down her cup and stood up. Put your phone down and listen to me. He put down his bag the moment he walked through the door.
You are holding something and you release it onto a surface. Simple, physical, but put down is the natural phrase, not placed down, not set down in everyday speech.
The second meaning, to criticize or belittle someone, to make them feel small.
He always puts her down in front of other people. Every meeting, every conversation. A comment here, a remark there.
Don't put yourself down. You did really well. You deserve to feel good about that.
She puts everyone down who disagrees with her. It is her way of maintaining control.
And this kind of put down, the habitual criticism, the quiet belittling, is one of the most damaging things in any relationship, professional or personal.
And the third meaning, to write or record something.
Put down your name and phone number on the form. I put down everything he said in the meeting so there would be a record.
Now, put away, to return something to its correct storage place.
Please put your toys away when you have finished. She put the dishes away after washing them. Put your things away and sit down.
Everything has a place. Put away means send it back there.
And put away has a second meaning, to save money regularly.
She puts away a little money every month for emergencies.
He has been putting away a small amount every week since he started working. Over time, it adds up significantly.
The money goes somewhere safe, set aside, not touched.
Now, put back, to return something to exactly where it came from.
After you use the dictionary, put it back on the shelf.
He put the book back exactly where he found it. Put it back where it belongs when you are done.
Put away is about returning to the correct storage place generally. Put back is more specific, back to the exact spot it came from.
A small difference, but native speakers feel it.
Now, put aside. Two meanings. The first, to save something for a specific purpose.
She puts aside a little money each month for the holiday. He put aside some time every morning for reading.
Something is being reserved, held back deliberately for a purpose.
She asked everyone to put aside their personal feelings and focus on the goal. He put aside his frustration and continued the conversation calmly.
The differences, the feelings, the frustrations, they're not resolved. They're just moved to one side temporarily.
And that temporary setting aside, that willingness to park something, is what makes collaboration possible sometimes.
Now, put up. And this one has 4 meanings.
The first, to erect or display something, to raise it up.
They put up a new sign outside the building. She put up some photos on the wall. Put your hand up if you know the answer.
Something goes up, physically rises or appears somewhere it was not before.
The second meaning is to increase a price, and this one is mainly British English.
They have put up the price of fuel again. The landlord put up the rent by 15%.
The price goes up, the number rises, and people are not happy about it.
The third meaning, to provide accommodation, to let someone stay in your home.
Can you put me up for the night? I missed the last train.
She put her friend up for a whole week while she was between flats. We can put you up. There's a spare room.
You are offering your home as temporary shelter. That generosity, that is put up.
And the fourth, put up a fight. To resist, to push back against something even when it is difficult.
He put up a fight, but eventually agreed to the changes.
She put up a real fight to keep her position. They put up a fight against the decision, but in the end, it went through anyway.
The fight is resistance, determination, not going down without effort.
Now, all of these phrasal verbs have one grammar rule that learners consistently get wrong, and it is important enough to stop on completely.
The separable and inseparable rule.
Most put phrasal verbs are separable. That means the object can go between the verb and the particle, or after the particle. Both positions are correct. Put the meeting off, correct. Put off the meeting, also correct.
Put your coat on, correct. Put on your coat, also correct.
Both work. The object moves freely.
But there is one situation where the object cannot move freely, when the object is a pronoun, it, him, her, them, me. It must go in the middle, always, no exceptions.
Put it off, correct. Put off it, wrong. Always wrong.
Put them away, correct. Put away them, wrong.
Put it on, correct. Put on it, wrong.
The pronoun is always trapped in the middle between the verb and the particle. That is the rule, and once you know it, you will never place a pronoun in the wrong position again.
And 3-word phrasal verbs, put up with, are always inseparable. The object always goes at the end.
I can't put up with this. Correct. I can't put this up with. Always wrong.
The 3 words stay together as one unit. Nothing goes between them.
One question to ask yourself every time. Is my object a pronoun? It, him, her, them, me.
Yes, it goes in the middle.
No, it can go either side of the particle.
And if it is a 3-word phrasal verb,
The object always goes at the end, no exceptions.
That rule covers every put phrasal verb we have talked about today. Learn it once and it works everywhere.
Now, beyond the phrasal verbs, put has one more family of expressions, a group that runs through professional English, emotional conversations, and everyday life constantly.
The put into family. One structure, put something into something, but each version has its own distinct meaning. Starting with put into practice, to take an idea or a theory and actually use it in the real world.
We have been talking about this system for months. It is time to put it into practice.
She learned the technique in training, but putting it into practice in a real situation was a completely different challenge.
The idea exists. The knowledge is there. Put into practice is the moment it moves from theory into reality.
Then put into action. Very similar to put into practice, but put into action feels more immediate, more urgent. Something needs to happen right now.
We have the plan. Let us put it into action straight away.
The moment a decision stops being a decision and starts being something real, that is put into action.
Put into practice is about applying learning. Put into action is about executing a plan.
Close, but the feeling is different. Practice is about knowledge becoming skill. Action is about decision becoming movement.
Now, put into effect. To make something officially active, a rule, a law, a policy, a decision, it exists on paper, and now it's going to start working in the real world.
The new policy will be put into effect next month.
The regulations were put into effect immediately after the announcement.
Before, it was just a document. After, it has real consequences, real impact. That transition is put into effect.
And put into words. To find the language to express something, especially a feeling or an idea that is difficult to articulate.
She had never tried to put her feelings into words before. She always kept them inside.
It is hard to put into words how grateful I am. Everything I try to say feels like it's not enough.
He sat with the experience for weeks before he could put it into words.
There's something deeply human about that struggle. The feeling is real, but the words are not there yet.
And put into words is exactly the phrase for that moment, when language finally arrives for something that resisted language.
Now, put into perspective, to understand something in relation to everything else around it, to see it at its true size, not larger than it is, not smaller.
Losing the game put things into perspective for us. We had been treating it like the end of the world, but it was just a game.
When his father became ill, it put everything into perspective immediately. The arguments, the pressure, the deadlines, none of it seemed important anymore.
Something larger arrives, and suddenly the smaller things find their correct size.
And that is put into perspective. The truth of what matters becomes clear.
And finally, put into context. To understand something in relation to its background, its history, the circumstances that surround it.
You need to put this comment into context before you judge it. He was exhausted. He had been working for 16 hours straight.
The statistics are alarming at first glance, but when you put them into context, when you understand what was happening at the time, the picture changes completely.
Context does not always excuse, but it always explains.
Put into practice, into action, into effect, into words, into perspective, into context. 6 expressions, 1 structure, and all of them among the most natural phrases in professional and everyday English.
Now the expression cluster, and this is where put becomes something completely different. Not a verb of movement or action, but a verb of communication.
How you choose to say something, the tone, the manner, the level of directness you decide to bring to a moment.
Starting with, to put it simply, or simply put.
To explain something in a clear, direct way, to cut through the complexity and give the essential truth.
To put it simply, the company needs to change or it will fail.
To put it simply, we do not have enough money to continue at this rate.
It is a signal, a promise to the listener. I am about to give you the clearest version of this.
And listeners appreciate that promise because complexity is exhausting and clarity is a gift.
To put it bluntly.
To be very direct, even uncomfortable. The truth is coming without softening, without diplomatic packaging.
Putting it bluntly, the project was a disaster from the beginning.
To put it bluntly, your work this quarter has not been good enough.
There is a moment before someone says to put it bluntly where the listener knows something honest is about to arrive.
And it does, every time.
To put it mildly.
The opposite direction from bluntly, to deliberately understate something when the reality is actually much stronger than the words suggest.
I was, to put it mildly, annoyed.
Which means I was absolutely furious. But the speaker is choosing restraint, choosing understatement, and that choice is its own kind of eloquence.
The traffic was, to put it mildly, terrible.
Which means it was completely impossible, an hour to move 2 kilometers.
The understatement makes the point more powerfully than the truth would.
Sometimes restraint is louder than honesty.
To put it another way.
To rephrase something, to offer a different version of the same idea when the first version did not quite land.
He is too trusting, or to put it another way, he has no head for business.
The first version was too kind. The second version is more honest. To put it another way signals, let me try again with more clarity.
And then, how shall I put it? Or, how do I put this?
The moment of searching, when you know what you want to say, but the right words have not arrived yet, especially when the topic is sensitive or delicate.
What was his new girlfriend like? Well, how shall I put it? She was unusual.
Everything is in that pause before unusual.
The whole truth is in that pause.
How shall I put it is a signal of diplomacy, of care, of someone choosing their words deliberately rather than saying the first thing that comes to mind.
And finally, let me put it this way.
When you are about to make something clearer, more direct, more concrete.
Let me put it this way. If this report is not finished by Friday, we have a very serious problem.
Let me put it this way. I would not invest in that company right now. Not with what I know.
It is a moment of sharpening. Everything that was vague becomes precise.
To put it simply, to put it bluntly, to put it mildly, to put it another way, how shall I put it? Let me put it this way. 6 phrases, and all of them from the same simple verb.
Put is not just doing things. It is also how you choose to speak, how you shape the truth before you deliver it.
And there is one more territory of put that we have not visited yet, the idioms.
The expressions that have their own stories, their own images, and their own permanent place in everyday English.
Starting with put your foot down, to assert authority firmly, to insist on something, clearly, finally, without further negotiation.
Her mother put her foot down and said no more screen time. That was the end of the discussion.
He had been arriving late every day for months. The manager finally put his foot down.
There's a moment before someone puts their foot down where things have been going wrong for too long. And then, enough.
That enough? That is put your foot down.
Now, put your foot in it. Completely different from putting your foot down, even though both involve feet.
English is generous with feet.
To put your foot in it means to accidentally say something embarrassing or offensive, something that causes discomfort the moment it leaves your mouth.
I really put my foot in it at dinner last night. I asked someone when their baby was due, and she was not pregnant.
That silence after, that is the foot in it moment.
The longest silence of your life.
He put his foot in it by mentioning her ex-husband, not knowing they had just separated.
Nobody does it deliberately, but everyone has done it at least once.
Now, put 2 and 2 together. To use the available evidence around you to reach the obvious conclusion, to figure something out from clues rather than being told directly.
When I noticed she was arriving early every morning and leaving late every evening, I put 2 and 2 together and guessed she was being considered for a promotion.
He never told me directly, but I put 2 and 2 together from the way he was acting.
The information was never given, it was assembled, piece by piece.
And put two and two together is the natural phrase for that moment of quiet realization.
Now, put your mind to it. To give something your full focus and determination. To commit completely to achieving something.
She can achieve anything she puts her mind to. Absolutely anything.
He had never been particularly academic, but when he put his mind to it, he passed every exam.
The ability was always there. What was missing was the full commitment of attention.
Put your mind to it is also a phrase of encouragement. You can do this if you put your mind to it.
Now, put your finger on something to identify the exact problem, the precise cause, the specific thing that is wrong when it has been difficult to name.
Something felt wrong about the proposal, but I couldn't put my finger on what it was.
She listened to the whole explanation and immediately put her finger on the flaw in the argument.
The feeling was there before the words were, and put your finger on it is the moment the words finally arrive.
Now, put words in someone's mouth to claim that someone said something they never actually said, to attribute words to them that were never theirs.
I never said I agreed with his decision. Do not put words in my mouth.
She felt the interviewer was putting words in her mouth, twisting her answers into something she had not meant.
It is one of the most frustrating things in any conversation, having your meaning replaced by someone else's version of it.
Now, put down roots. To settle permanently in a place, to build a life somewhere, a home, relationships, a sense of belonging.
After years of moving from city to city, they finally put down roots in Edinburgh.
She had always been afraid to put down roots. Staying meant committing, and committing meant something could be lost.
The roots are invisible, but they are what hold everything in place.
Now, put someone up to something, to encourage or persuade someone to do something. Usually something wrong, mischievous, or that they would not have done on their own.
Who put you up to this? You would never have done this by yourself.
It was his idea. He put the whole group up to it and then stepped back and watched.
The person who is put up to something takes the risk. The person who does the putting up stays safe.
Now put paid to something. And this one is British English, but it is worth knowing.
To finish something completely, to destroy a possibility or a hope permanently.
The injury put paid to his hopes of playing in the final. Everything he had worked towards, gone.
The rain put paid to any chance of a picnic. The decision put paid to 5 years of planning.
Put paid to is final. There is no coming back from it.
And finally, put a sock in it. Informal, direct, unmistakable.
Tell someone to be quiet.
Will you put a sock in it? I am trying to concentrate.
He would not stop talking, so she told him to put a sock in it.
Not the most diplomatic phrase in English, but one of the most effective.
Now, one last thing before we move to the role play. Put versus place.
Both can mean moving something to a location, but they are not the same.
Put is the natural everyday choice. Neutral, versatile, no special care implied.
I put my bag on the chair. I put the keys by the door. I put the report on your desk.
Place sounds more deliberate, more careful, more intentional. It carries a feeling of precision and formality.
She placed the flowers carefully in the center of the table. The technician placed the equipment exactly where it needed to be.
Place suggests the action was done with thought and care. Put just means it was done.
And in everyday conversation, put is almost always the right choice. Place sounds written, formal, slightly stiff in casual speech.
I placed my coffee on the desk. Grammatically correct, but nobody says that.
I put my coffee on the desk. That's what everyone says.
Use put as your default. Reach for place only when the deliberateness and care of the action genuinely matter.
So we've covered a lot of ground today. 7 meanings, a full family of phrasal verbs, idioms, expressions.
But now let's talk about the mistakes, the exact sentences that go wrong most often with put and why.
Starting with mistake number 1, and this is the one that started this entire episode.
She putted the report on my desk.
Putted. And the reason learners reach for it is completely logical. Most English verbs form the past tense with ed. Walk becomes walked. Talk becomes talked. So put should become putted.
But put does not follow that pattern.
Put never changes form. Base form, put. Past simple, put. Past participle, put. The word is exactly the same in every tense.
She put the report on my desk this morning. Yesterday, I put it there. I have put it there every single week for a year.
Same word every time. And the memory aid, think of cut and shut. Nobody says cutted. Nobody says shutted. Put follows exactly the same pattern. The past tense of put is always just put.
Mistake number 2. I cannot put this up with.
3-word phrasal verbs are always inseparable. The 3 words stay together as one unit, and the object goes at the end, always.
I cannot put up with this. Correct. I cannot put this up with. Always wrong.
Nothing goes between the 3 words. They are a single unit. The object follows at the end.
And this applies to every 3-word phrasal verb in English, not just put up with.
Mistake number 4, and this is the one that changes meaning completely and causes the most embarrassment.
Which one?
I like your cooking too much. I love this city too much. I enjoyed that concert too much.
All of those sound like strong compliments.
But too much always signals excess, always signals a problem, something uncomfortable, something that has gone beyond what is wanted or acceptable.
I like your cooking too much accidentally says the cooking is a problem for me. The liking has become excessive.
I love this city too much accidentally says the love is unhealthy, overwhelming, too much to handle.
I enjoyed that concert too much accidentally says the enjoyment was excessive, a problem disguised as a compliment.
The speaker means the exact opposite of what the words say.
And the cook, the city, and the concert have all just been accidentally criticized.
What the speaker means in every one of those is, I like your cooking a lot. I love this city a lot. I enjoyed that concert a lot.
A lot, warm, positive, neutral. No problem. No excess, no unintended complaint.
Too much, excess, discomfort, something beyond what is manageable.
One word, completely different meaning.
4 mistakes, 4 fixes. And that is it for today.
So let us bring it all together.
Put has 7 meanings, and the first one, placement, is the only one most learners know.
Moving something to a location. Put the bag on the table. Put your phone in your pocket.
But then put causes states. The news put her in a terrible mood. The journey put the children to sleep.
Put someone at ease. Put someone in charge. Put someone to work.
Put as expression, the way you choose to say something. To put it simply, to put it bluntly. How shall I put it?
Put as investment. She puts a lot of effort into her work. Put pressure on. Put faith in. Put blame on.
Put as writing. Put your name at the top. I want to put this in writing.
Put as estimation. I would put him among the greatest of his generation.
And put as prioritization. He always puts his family first. She puts her health above everything else.
7 meanings. 1 verb.
The grammar. Put never changes form. The past tense of put is always put. Putted does not exist outside of golf.
And putting, double T. Never putting with 1 T.
Pronunciation. Put. The same vowel as foot, good, look, book. Not put, like cut or cup.
The phrasal verb family. Put on. 6 meanings. Clothes, devices, weight, events, pretending, applying.
Plus, put on hold, put on the spot, put on the map, put on the line, put on a pedestal, put on trial.
Put off, postpone, or discourage. Put up with, tolerate. Always inseparable.
Put down, place, belittle, or record. Put away, return to storage, or save money.
Put back, return to the exact spot. Put aside, save, or temporarily ignore.
Put up, erect, raise prices, accommodate, or resist.
Put forward, propose.
Kid across, communicate clearly.
Put through, connect by phone or cause difficulty.
Put together, assemble or create.
Put in, invest effort or make an official request.
The pronoun rule.
It, him, her, them, me always go in the middle. Put it on, put them away, never after the particle.
The put into family, into practice, into action, into effect, into words, into perspective, into context.
The expression cluster. To put it simply, bluntly, mildly, another way, how shall I put it? Let me put it this way.
The idioms. Put your foot down, put your foot in it, put two and two together, put your mind to it.
Put your finger on something, put someone at ease, put someone's mind at rest, put words in someone's mouth.
Put down roots, put someone up to something, put paid to something, put a sock in it.
And the register note. Put is your default in everyday English. Place sounds deliberate and formal. When in doubt, put.
Now, your challenge. Use put in 3 completely different ways in the comments. Not the same meaning twice. Show the range.
We read every single comment, and we reply.
If this episode helped you, share it with one person who is learning English right now. One share makes a real difference.
And if you have not subscribed to Say It yet, please subscribe. We do not want you to miss what is coming next.
We will see you there. Take care, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.